Welcome back. Most people see Miami International Airport as a bright and shiny place to work. It's the largest economic engine in the state, bigger than even Disney. But as we have shown you in recent months, behind that shiny exterior is a workforce that is largely exploited. This morning, we are going to take a look at more than 1,200 workers who stock the planes with food, snacks, and beverages. Joining me this morning is Wendy Walsh, International Vice President for Unite Here, the union representing those workers, and Margaret Riefin, who works for a company called Sky Chef that stocks the planes. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So I want to start with one thing. Is we're taping this on Friday. By Sunday, you should probably know, Wendy, the results of a strike vote, whether or not the members nationally across the country are going to authorize the union to potentially call a strike. Is that accurate?
Yes, correct.
And why is that strike vote necessary?
Yeah, so we represent a little over 20,000 workers in the catering industry for the airlines who prepare the food for international flights, for first class, for the coach passengers to buy. And those workers have been left behind far too long. And many of them have worked for these companies for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and still don't make a wage that they can live on. And so, you know, what we're saying is one job should be enough. If people are working hard 40 hours a week, they should be able to live on that paycheck. And they've just been left behind for too long. And these airlines are making extraordinary profits right now, and it's time for these workers to make a wage they can live on.
What is the average hourly wage for an employee?
Sure. So here in Miami, we represent about 1,100 of these workers.
For Sky Chef, and there's another company.
Yes.
Altogether, it's about 1,400.
Yes. So in Miami, we have about 900 Sky Chef workers, another 200 workers for a company called Gate Gourmet. You'll see their trucks outside of your plane as you're waiting to take off. And the median wage for those workers is a little over $11.
$11 an hour.
Yeah.
And the insurance benefits, how do they rate?
Virtually no one takes the insurance benefits.
Because it's so expensive.
They're so expensive. Less than 20% of the workers insure themselves. Only 5% can insure someone in their family. For a single person, it's over $50 a week. And when you make $11 an hour, you don't have an extra penny for health insurance.
So again, just sort of quick math in my head, $11 an hour roughly translates to about $20,000, maybe a little over $20,000 a year.
Yeah, if you get 40 hours, yeah.
To raise a family.
Yeah.
So let's talk to one of those workers. Margaret, thank you very much for coming in. You've worked for Sky Chef for how long?
29 years.
29 years.
Yes.
And what is your hourly pay right now?
12 and 20 cents.
$12.20 an hour.
Yes.
And can you afford to take the insurance?
No, because the insurance is too expensive. I can't afford to pay it.
So again, I just want to be clear. You've worked for the company for 29 years, and after 29 years, your pay is $12.20 an hour.
Yes.
Do I need to ask you, how did you vote on the question of whether or not to strike?
Because
did you vote? Did you vote yes?
Yes, I voted yes.
Okay. Why did you vote yes?
Because I want better benefits, better paycheck. I want better life insurance. Because the way is, and I want better paycheck. You know, paycheck I got again, and for to do my bill.
Right. You've been trying to support a family. You raised four kids.
Yeah.
On this. I don't even know how you did that. How did you raise 4 kids on this?
That time when I was, I got the husband. I just leave him now for a little while. Because that time when I was 4 kids, I got support. Now I don't have no support. Because I got one son, he's 15 years old.
Right.
I have to take care of him.
Wendy, let me ask you, what's the working conditions like for the workers? We've covered this story before with you and the folks who clean the cabins.
Sure.
and how overtaxed they are. This issue is a little different. The UN workers are not unionized. These workers are. So I have a feeling their working conditions are a little bit better protected. But still, it's got to be a tough job.
Oh, it's a tough job. These workers work off of the airport property in a plant down the street. Someone like Margaret, who prepares the food, is working in extraordinarily cold conditions. It's 32 degrees.
It's basically working in a refrigerator.
It's working in a refrigerator. And so Margaret has to buy extra clothing for herself to just stay warm. She's on her feet 8 hours a day. And like I said, we have workers, you know, our most senior worker there, Virginia Davis, has worked there for 51 years. 51 years. She makes $13.49 an hour. And, you know, it takes a toll on you I don't stand all day in my job in 32 degrees. And it's not an easy job.
The basic question that you're asking for, when you talk about wanting a salary, a wage that they can live on, you're asking for a minimum of $15 an hour?
Yeah, that is, I think that...
and by the way, $15 an hour only works out to $26,000 a year. You know, it's still not a lot of money, but at least 15 is better than what they're getting now and potentially better health benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 93% of these workers make less than $15 an hour. And, you know, there's been a lot of press recently about how the cost of living in Miami is going up and up. The cost of housing is getting out of control. And if you make $12 an hour, $22,000 a year, nobody could possibly do the math to say that you could make ends meet on that kind of a salary.
So we reached out to Sky Chef, wanted to know what their take on this was, and I'll read you a statement that they sent to us. Our company values the hard work and dedication of our team members. Wages, as well as other benefits, including vacations, uniforms, and company-provided meals, as well as health and welfare, are subject to the collective bargaining process between the company and their union representatives. We are currently in negotiations regarding our collective bargaining agreement with the union, and we are continuing to negotiate in good faith. Do you believe they're negotiating in good faith, and how long have these negotiations been going on?
Look, we've been in bargaining since the fall of last year, 2018. These are really easy issues to resolve. American Airlines is the primary carrier here in Miami, as we all know. The big three, United, American, and Delta, made more than $50 billion in profits over the last 5 years. American here in Miami made $300 million in profits just last year alone. And to get these workers who work in the kinds of conditions that I described to a basic paycheck that they can pay their bills, that is an easy lift for a company like American.
So you put the onus on American Airlines. You believe that if American Airlines told Sky Chef pay their workers well, that they would do so.
100%. This is essentially a pass-through to American. American subcontracts with this company, with Sky Chefs. They're choosing a company that is not affording their employees the basics of being able to afford health insurance, to have a paycheck that they can live on. And when American went through tough times back in 2001 after the tragedy of 9/11, these workers took concessions to help that company survive. And now that they're making extraordinary profits again, that isn't being shared at all with these employees. It's up to American.
Margaret, I want to bring you back in. The statement from Sky Chef says, our company values the hard work and dedication of our team members, in other words, employees like you. Do you believe that Sky Chef, the company you work for, values and appreciates your dedication and work?
No.
You don't feel that way?
No, I don't feel that way.
Because if they did, they would express it by paying you properly.
Properly.
I want to go back to your point with regard to American. We also reached out to American Airlines and received a statement from them. And I want to read you their statement now. American respects the right to free association and collective bargaining. Negotiations are between the catering employees and their union and their respective employers. American and other airline customers are not involved in those negotiations. Those negotiations are in the stage where a strike is prohibited by federal law, so we do not anticipate any impact to our catering operations. I want to break that down into two parts. I want to take you with the second part first. So essentially, you fall under the National Railroad Act, which is something, it's a little bit arcane in federal law, but it basically says that key industries, such as the railroads back in the day, airlines, that before you can strike and potentially cripple, the movement of people around the country, you have to get permission from the federal government to go on strike, that the federal mediator essentially has to say, yes, you can go on strike.
Yeah.
So this step that you've taken now is you're asking your employees to vote for a strike, That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean the next day you go on strike. It's just part of a process that could eventually lead to a strike. Am I saying it correctly?
Absolutely, yeah. So over this week, workers in the catering industry are taking these votes across every airport in the country, and I have no doubt that they will overwhelmingly vote yes to strike, but we do have to get released by the federal government in order to strike.
They're not going to, the federal government, the Trump administration is not going to permit your workers to go out on strike, though, correct?
Well, we certainly are going to push to say that these workers should be released to take the kinds of actions that may be required to get to the kinds of wages and benefits that they need. But one would hope that these airlines would do the right thing and see how intensely these workers want to make change happen.
So that takes me back to the beginning of American's statement, which is essentially, this isn't our problem. This is between the union and Sky Chef, or the union and whatever other catering company is providing services for our airline passengers. You don't accept that, though.
Yeah, I think it's disgraceful to try and wash your hands of this. When you employ a company, you should want to know how it treats its employees. And American has been extraordinarily clear what this fight is all about, and they know the role that they can play in resolving it, and you don't get to just pass it off to a company just because they're a subcontractor of yours and pretend that you don't know what's going on with these employees.
Well, obviously, we're at one stage of the process. We'll continue to follow this story. As I said, I think people, as they walk through Miami International Airport or Fort Lauderdale Airport, where you also represent members, should be thinking about who is behind the scenes, what kind of work are they doing for the passengers, and whether or not they're being treated fairly, and may want to express that themselves to the airlines and how they do business. Margaret, Wendy, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks so much.
We'll continue to follow this. All right, we'll be right back after the break.